What does a wall clock do after it's stopped ticking? Probably just hangs around. Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Today I unbox the greatest military chronograph of all time to add to my personal collection. I continue my search with attempted unboxing, the second unboxing. This technically should be a triple unboxing, but the latter two did not go well as I continue my search for the ultimate Bond era Seamaster from Omega. And then last of all, a failed buying experience of a WorldTimer that I was so excited about. Yeah, a lot to get into. Let's roll the intro. Okay, we are back in the war room. It feels like I haven't been in here for months, and I haven't because I've been on road, a show in Germany, did a show here in New York with Longines, the UK for the launch of the Laurier. I was in Switzerland working. Quickly ask you to like this video, especially if you want to support more free and truly independent content like this. And I'll also do a wristwatch check. It is related to the WorldTimer that I tried to buy. This is the Nevada Gentry F77 meteorite dial in titanium. Still adore this watch. So I'm here with Dee, and we are in the store.
What is going on, Gentry? How are you? How are you?
Look at this light. Oh, sorry. We're filming, being filming.
This is
while filming. We took shelter under the iconic bridge from Serpico. I've mentioned it in a few videos. Dee is here to hand deliver the Vixa. I'm going to be handing him a check. Yeah. Let's get to the restaurant, man.
Let's do it, brother.
Yeah. Now, if you have been watching the show, you would have seen my recent adventures in Germany. So click here if you missed it. And in that episode, I actually got to see my next watch in today's unboxing, verified by Hanhart's very own top watchmaker. Accompanying me on this horological voyage of a lifetime was Dee from the Hobby of Ours channel, who incidentally I'm actually buying this watch from. In fact, he delivered it to me in NYC recently as he was attending an Urban Gentry crew get-together. Now, if you're interested in joining us for future events, do stay tuned to the Instagram as I make announcements there on that platform, as we only have very limited capacity. Knife check, 1 2 1 2. The Lion Steel back again from the area in Italy where I grew up. So let's make the first incision and get into this. Open here after drum roll, please. Schnell, schnell. Okay. Danke, Bruder. Maybe I should explain what Danke, Bruder is all about. We are under the Tribo Bridge because there's like this freak flash flood, insane rain going on.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Right. Enjoy it, Bruder.
I'm gonna cut to, no one's gonna get that reference. It's fine.
It's brother in German.
Yeah, no, but we were saying what was the
Danke, Bruder.
Danke, Bruder,
which is thank you, brother, in direct translation. But the German team was like, yeah, we don't say stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I know, but America, that's how I say it. So.
Yeah, so we should start saying
trend.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a trend.
All right, Danke, Bruder.
Danke, Bruder.
Danke,
my
Bruder.
pleasure.
I'm including the same set of straps I wear on my own Vixa, some proper spring bars, and something to assist with your strap drawer of yours. Ghastly. All the best, your friend in time, Dee. Very nice. Oh, nice. What is this? So you can put straps in here. That's pretty cool. And then let's open the main bit. Oh, those are going to be useful. Let's open it up. Oh. Haveston, I think that's an A. Haveston. That certainly feels nice. Oh, and it's got like a reinforced section there. That's pretty cool. But let's get to the main event, shall we? I mean, I hope this is the main event. There it is, there it is. I don't know why I'm whispering. Oh, he's put it on one of these Haverston straps. Haverston, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but... Oh, there it is, look at that. They said in the factory that the hands have been replaced. Dee was aware of that when he bought it, and I'll explain why this is so significant, but yeah, column wheel actuation, so it's just fantastic. Yeah, flyback, look at that flyback action. Just amazing. Certainly grail worthy, but my own Type 20. So why is the Type 20 so important? Well, it's history lesson time. There are perhaps dozens of brands who have made Type 20 based chronos for the civilian market over the decades, but decisively, only the following were officially military issued, therefore the real deal. They were Vixa, Breguet, Dodin, Erain, and Oricoste. So what does Type 20 actually mean? It is in fact a post-World War II specification set by the French Air Ministry for their pilots. Think of A11 watches or the Dirty Dozen and you get the idea. Its precise attributes are still hotly debated by watch nerds, but I will share what I believe are the most common definitive traits on this screen as I read these words. Sadly, the French were not the most empirical at record keeping, ironically unlike their previous occupiers, who they got the design language from in the first place. Now, something that is a shame on this vintage Vixa is the little insert there on the bezel is missing, which is pretty typical of watches this age. If you see in the Hanhart book, they had a little red insert there. I suspect, if I look at my Van Essen Art Deco of the same period, they used Bakelite, so perhaps it was Bakelite. On the modern ones, this was a prototype for the 39mm 417 that we helped to bring back. They use ceramic, so maybe I could have Hanhart cut a piece in ceramic to fit this and therefore, make it functional. Would that be too anachronistic? Would I be mucking it up, or would I be bringing it back to some former glory? Unlike other icons of martial timekeeping, the Type 20 has obviously ceased to be a military spec and has since become property of Breguet. They were, of course, the first to produce them in 1950 onwards, because until 1976 the brand was still based in Paris and had yet to become the Swiss-based haughty-taughty powerhouse of today. You know the one, beloved by dashingly handsome New Yorkers in Purcell sunglasses and bell-staff jackets who worship them as grail watches. But I digress. Vixa was the second brand to produce them a few years later, and this is where this stunning battle-tested example comes into the story. However, there's a serious plot twist, and in many ways makes the Vixa the truest Type 20 of them all, even beyond big boy Breguet. You see, due to war reparations, Vixa was actually manufactured by Germany's greatest chronograph watchmaker, Hanhart. As the French, post-war, occupied this part of southern Germany, and naturally the French couldn't have their pilots wearing a brand synonymous with pioneering a style of watch used against them only half a decade before. So they decided a bit of convenient rebranding and thus named it after the late president of Timex Watches in France, as they had, until 1960, a factory not so far away, but whatever name appears on the dial, nobody can deny that this design language was pioneered by Hanhart in their pre-World War II watches, especially the caliber 40, which incidentally is a predecessor of the movement found again in this example, which in turn became the basis of all military pilot chronographs since. Now, to give you a better understanding, chronos used by the armed forces were typically styled more like this 1930s inspired Tissot Janeiro that I've done a whole deep dive on before. There were, of course, similar designs by other brands, like the very ahead of its time Longines 13ZN based pilot chronos, but for whatever reason, it never became so universally adopted and successfully influential as Hanhart's near century of consistency with this particular confluence of features. We are, of course, talking about the coin edge rotating bezel, Arabic numerals, syringe-style handset, bicompax layout, flyback functionality, and the use of white printing on a black contrasting dial, but beyond all, the scale and proportions and how it all relates to each other. That no matter how similar other watches become, is quintessentially Hanhart. This is as close as I'm ever going to get to a Steve McQueen 4170S that launched Hanhart into kind of international stardom. And inside actually is the 4054, which is a variation or continuation of the caliber 40, world famous, just astonishing. It's not exactly the most accurate, but the deviancy, watch, that's a Freudian slip. The deviation on this, watch deviancy, yeah, that needs to be a show. The deviation on this is, you know what, +8 or something. I mean, considering it's like, what, 70, 80 years old. I've put it on a collarette. This is from Holben's that I bought donkeys years ago. This is kind of distressed. Can't remember if it's the Venezia or the Siena or the Roma, whatever. You know what, I'll do a cutaway, but I think it complements the vintage style. The straps actually that D included were amazing, but they were a little bit too contemporary. I feel this works better. Having said that, I might source a bunt, you know, to really get the Steve McQueen vibes, put my Purcells on, pretend I have a Ford Mustang from Bullitt, even though he was wearing it, Benrus, but whatever. Maybe I need to get into motorbikes. Yeah, my wife will kill me. Anyway, let's get on to the next unboxing, the Omega. Well, unlike the Vixa, this one didn't go to plan at all. After months of deliberations, I pulled the trigger on this late 90s reference 22658000. With currently no Rolex Submariner in the collection, or Tudor for that matter, and it being the 30th anniversary of Bond getting into bed with Omega, I figured that this was the year to return to the fold, so to speak.
You were expecting someone else?
Now, for those unfamiliar with this model, it's basically a quartz caliber 1538 based version of the almost identical looking automatic counterpart that is also in 41mm. The only visible difference is the extra Kosk markings on the dial, as well as it having a slightly thicker case to house the rotor. What drew me to this particular reference was the mil-spec styled layout, and the military sword hands over the typical skeletonized that very much evoke strong 1960s Seamaster 300 vibes, especially the reference 165024 that were famously issued to the British Armed Forces in both the Army and Navy, or sometimes whimsically called the Mil Master. Get it? Mil Sub, Mil Master, Seamaster. Anyway, very cute stuff indeed. But they go for absolutely DuckTales money these days, which is definitely not so cute. Anyway, combined with those dial characteristics, crucially it's housed in a more contemporary 90s Bond platform. You know, the scalloped bezel and all the rest of it. Now, this purchase was also custom modded, which is often the case. Pun, I guess, partially intended there. Now, it's unclear if the seller did it themselves or they bought it like this, but they added the iconic restrained and, in my opinion, the most British blue of hues via an aftermarket insert. Now, this very much helps to further accentuate those meraviglioso Bondian vibes to hit all the right Proustian Madeleine nostalgia notes. To make it abundantly clear, the aftermarket mod was part of the eBay listing, so I was well aware of it. In fact, it seems that I'm not the only person that desires this particular reference, without the steel original bezel. So many end up swapping it out for something more evocative of endless nights murdering all your best friends gloriously in GoldenEye N64 multiplayer. So what was wrong with the Omega? Well, it's not the fact that it's a quartz watch, although a lot of you will say or beg to differ on that one. Bond had a quartz in the original GoldenEye, so why not? Actually, I wanted quartz because another watch I don't have to worry about servicing, has the end of life indicator. It's a really great quartz movement, actually. ETA based, very affordable to maintain. I bought it for the look, for the feels. The grab and go ease of quartz, so it's fine. The issue was the polishing. It had been repolished, to be expected on a watch that age. Some of the surfaces on the inside of the lugs, which is difficult to spot, was not congruent with the original finish. It should have been brushed. It was left in a high polish, which is lazy and incorrect. So considering its price, I don't think it was fair. Requested a return. They immediately sent me quite a rude, unprofessional, accusatory email saying that I was making stuff up to get a refund because they don't accept returns. But then they immediately accepted the return, which is like, well, so which is it? If I'm wrong, then, you know, surely you want to contest it. Kind of unprofessional to accuse your customer of lying, essentially. You shouldn't do that. Just admit that you're wrong, that you didn't put it in the listing, and that's fine. Issue the refund. It was unnecessary. Most people probably won't notice, but having owned dozens of Seamasters, I know them intimately well. Like, I could probably tell if it's been repolished just by feeling it. I'm not making this up. I genuinely believe this. You can feel the edge and the transitions, and you can tell, because I know them that well. Trust me, it was my first luxury watch. So it went back and I got a refund, so I'm happy with that. But this failed unboxing was further than I got with my third attempt at buying a watch this past month. It's extremely rare, if ever at all, that I blind buy a watch without serious research and experience first. But I was so hyped, intrigued and besotted with the Spaceone WorldTimer as soon as I saw leaked pictures of this particular interpretation of a complication I have been obsessing about for a while now, that combined with its avant-garde Hamilton Ventura-esque retro Googie Jetsons design, how could I resist? Not to mention, one of the designers is the same horological entrepreneur behind my wristwatch check today, the watch design genius Guillaume Ledet of Nevada Grenchen. So I set a countdown timer to the launch, which happened to go off during a recording of an episode for Dee's channel with Russell, a mere minute after it went live for sale. But the purchase would not go through. I then tried probably about 20 times, even with different credit cards and on multiple devices, and still nothing. I called my credit card companies and there was no issue on my end of things, so perhaps there was something going on with their website on that day. But I'll never know what happened, and so I took that as a sign from the horological gods that unfortunately I pulled out of the deal, and I'm just gonna wait. You know, I'll wait until they're in stock, or I might get a used one, or Frederique Constant might actually do the 38mm that we've all been waiting for. That is a general release in some different colors, and by the time the Spaceone WorldTimer actually is produced, I think that will happen. The Watch Angels collab they did was a huge success. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have I made a mistake? Should I have taken the plunge? Was I right or wrong regarding the Seamaster, the Spaceone WorldTimer? At least 1 out of 3 came to fruition, and this certainly was a success. Is it me or is eBay getting a little bit more cutthroat these days? I don't know. Don't forget to like this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Onwards and upwards. Thank you for watching. Ciao. Well, at least I have you. At least I have you. Ooh.